Remember when Biden used to go and say, like, he's in Iowa, and it'd say, it's great to be in Idaho. Sir, you're in Iowa. He would do this all the time. He was in New Hampshire. It's great to be in Maine today. Sir, you're in New Hampshire.
How many unsafe bridges you still have here in the state of Iowa? And I was just in Ohio because they have more.
It is important that Iowa and Nevada have spoken, but look.
I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it, and what a neat town.
The worst was when he was in New York, and he said it's great to be in Florida. There were no palm trees.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Kingswood Community Center. Actually, that's the one down I used to work. It's a joke. You didn't know where we were. Anyway.
You guys voted early today?
Because I'm going to be in, where am I tomorrow?
Florida.
Traveling.
Great to be in Florida. He'd do that all the time. I've never done it yet. I've never done it. With all the speeches I've made, I was just saying, because I said Alabama, but I know exactly. I didn't have to think about it. It's called Alabama. I love Alabama. I've always loved Alabama. And I've always said, if that ever happens, you can forget about the rest of the night because the speech is a total disaster. In other words, it's great to be in South Carolina with you people tonight. And I'd say, you know what? I'd say, if that ever happened, it's a disaster. You might as well just walk off the stage, because you could be Winston Churchill, great speaker. You could be Winston Churchill, the great Winston Churchill, make an incredible rest of the speech, and it's a disaster. The only difference is if you make a speech, if he does it, which he does all the time, different forms, the press doesn't cover it. He's the only guy that didn't get covered falling, walking up the stairs to Everett. The press didn't cover it, other than a couple, internet covered it, I guess, right? But the press, do you think they would have covered it if I fell on the Air Force One? He fell 3 times. Down goes Frazier, remember that? Down. He kept going down and up, down and up. I said, what the hell's going on here? I was watching that. What's going on with our president? And it wasn't on one nightly newscast. I think I might have been on, I did the ramp, the long, slippery ramp. I said, General, it was... pouring out, pouring. I said, General, this is a bad deal here. I got leather shoes on the bottom, and I'm going to fall. I'm not going to let them fall. I'm not. So I walked down tiny little steps. What's wrong with the president? The biggest story. I was so proud when I got down, I didn't fall. I said, General, I don't want to grab you, but I may have to grab you. Big, strong general, commandant of West Point. I made my best speech at West Point that day, but then it was pouring. And when I went down the ramp, and it was pure, it wasn't, normally they have like some little grooves, nothing. It was like an ice skating rink. I think it was a trap. And I said, General, this is not a good situation. That sucker looks slippery as hell, and I'm not going to allow them to take me falling. Remember Gerald Ford fell? That was not a good time. Some other bad things happened to presidents. Not a good time. You can't do that. You can't let that happen. So what happened is they made that a big story. I was so proud of myself. I made my best speech, and nobody talked about that speech. Someday, hopefully, they'll go back and get the speech I made at the graduation of West Point 2 years ago. I'd love you to hear that speech. I called up the First Lady. I said, First Lady, I just made a great speech. She said, you're on television for the way you went down a ramp. That's all they talked about. But with him falling down the stairs 3 times, he was down. No, he's up. No, he's down again. Oh, my God. No, he's up. He's down again. He's down for 3 times. If that were a fight, they'd stop it, right? Because we're getting a little tired of the woke generals that we have, right? Where they move our military out before they move our civilians, and before they move $83 billion worth of equipment, let's move them out. And the Taliban looks and they say, I can't believe it. This could only happen to us. I can't believe it. The military left. They go in. We have 45,000 people there, Americans, anywhere from, I guess, 15. They have no idea how many. That's even worse. They say it could be 10. Oh, could also be 45,000, but it's a lot of people and equipment like nobody has anywhere in the world, $83 billion. 1 year ago this month, in my nomination acceptance speech, which you remember, a lot of you were there. I see a lot of you that were there. I warned the entire country of the disastrous consequences of a Biden presidency. I understood it. A lot of you understood it, too. I said that Joe Biden would eliminate America's borders in the middle of a pandemic. He did. I predicted that he would unleash a wave of violent crime that would turn our cities into a nightmare of killing and bloodshed. You look at these Democrat-run cities, Chicago, LA, big cities, small cities, everyone run by a Democrat. New York, they don't prosecute people in New York. Only Republicans they prosecute. They don't prosecute murderers and killers. They prosecute Republicans. It's misconduct. It's called prosecutorial misconduct. And he's now overseeing the greatest foreign policy humiliation in the history of the United States of America. This is the greatest humiliation I've ever seen. Biden's botched exit in Afghanistan is the most astonishing display of gross incompetence by a nation's leader, perhaps at any time that anybody's ever seen. Name another situation like this. Vietnam looks like a masterclass in strategy compared to Joe Biden's catastrophe. And it didn't have to happen. All he had to do is leave the soldiers there until everything's out. Our citizens, our weapons. Then you bomb the hell out of the bases. We have 5 bases. And you say, bye-bye. You say bye-bye. The scene of those big, giant planes taking off with people hanging on the sides and falling off, there'll never be anything like that. That's worse than the helicopters. You remember the helicopters taking off the roofs? This blows it away. Not even a contest. This will go down as one of the great military defeats of all time, and it did not have to happen that way. This is not a withdrawal. This was a total surrender. They surrender for no reason. They weren't asking. We had them. I dealt with Abdul. He was the leader. I said, Abdul, anything happens, we are going to rain terror upon you. It will be a terrible thing. Don't touch our American citizens. Don't ever come to our country. Don't ever come to our country. And you're going to continue fighting your civil war. I can't do that. They've been fighting it for hundreds of years. That's what they do.